tonight I'm doing everything on the grill. I'm doing grilled asparagus and I'm grilling polenta. We've recently started eating polenta, and I usually do it like creamy on the stove top, but I'm grilling it tonight, so that'll be a fun, different twist. And I'm having steak alongside it. So I'm gonna turn this around so y'all can see everything. All right. So over here I have my asparagus. I already trimmed the ends off. Hey, Megan. So you can see the ends of the asparagus I trimmed off and washed and dried already. I've already sprinkled the asparagus with salt and pepper, and I'm going to drizzle some olive oil on it. All right. And I'm going to toss this all together. I've actually never done grilled asparagus before, so I'm looking forward to this. I usually roast it, which is really delicious, but grilling and roasting both really brings out the flavor and caramelizes it. I like that a lot better than boiled or steamed asparagus. All right, that's all set. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over here. I have a couple of grill pans over here that I preheated to medium heat, and I'm going to go ahead, whoops, and plop my asparagus on. And you can hear that start to sizzle. Yeah, I might be able to fit it all on. Let's see. Or at least most of it. Okay. I'm going to start with that, and then I'll put the rest of the asparagus on later. I'm going to grill the asparagus for 3 to 5 minutes until it's nicely charred and bright green. And I'm going to flip it maybe about once or so halfway through. Okay. I'll wipe my hands off. They have olive oil on them. Okay, over here I have my polenta. So I got a tube of polenta rather than loose polenta in a box or a bag. And it looks like polenta in a tube is new to Sprouts, which I was shopping today instead of Publix. And they had regular polenta and basil garlic polenta as options. So I got both of them so we could try both. And my husband voted for basil garlic polenta. So if I had done the regular polenta, I was planning to brush with olive oil, which I'm going to do now, and then season with salt and pepper and grill, and then sprinkle Parmesan on it after I grilled it. But since I'm doing the basil garlic, that's kind of already pre-seasoned, so I'm just going to go with that. I might sprinkle a little salt and pepper on at the end to taste, kind of depending on how they turn out. But really, I think the basil and garlic will be enough of a flavor to where I'm just going to brush it with olive oil and grill it. So that makes it, you know, kind of a nice and low sodium side dish too. It's also gluten-free if you have gluten allergies. All right, so I've got most of those basted on one side. So I'm going to come over here and go ahead and put those down. I'm going to baste it with oil on the other side while it's starting to grill, because that'll save time. It can be cooking while I do the other side. All right. You can hear that nice sizzle going. All right, that's all it's going to fit on there. So I'm going to bring our olive oil over, and I'm just going to baste the other side real quick, so it doesn't stick to the stove when we flip it over. All right, and I'm going to let these go about 15 minutes. They're about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch thick to where I sliced the polenta. I'm going to cook those for about 15 minutes over medium and flip those halfway through. So over here, we have our asparagus that's been cooking for a couple minutes already. And I'm going to stir those a bit. I'm going to get those tossed. So those have been going for a couple minutes. I'll probably do these for a few minutes more. The asparagus won't take very long at all to cook. The polenta will take longer. So flip those a little bit. We just want like a nice char. We want them to get a nice bright green. And then I'll take these off and put the rest of the asparagus on. Oops. All right, looking good. Then after the asparagus are done, I'm going to drizzle those with some balsamic vinegar and olive oil and a little salt and pepper. So those will be nicely seasoned, have a nice little dressing to it. So I already mixed up a little bit of balsamic and olive oil and salt and pepper, so I'll just drizzle it on, so that'll be nice and easy. And I added a little bit of Dijon mustard to it as well to give it a little bit of a kick. Those are looking nice. So we just want those to be crisp tender. Okay, so not much longer at all on those. And over here, I have our steak. I have some beef tenderloin over here. If y'all might have seen my video where I've cut up, trimmed, and frozen a whole beef tenderloin. So I just pulled this out of the freezer and defrosted it. And I'm marinating it in some white wine, some Pinot Noir, which is what we had on hand. And I sprinkled it with some salt and pepper and some Italian herbs, basil, thyme, rosemary, marjoram, etc. I also like to kind of like poke the steak with a fork to kind of aerate it and give it some holes to where the red wine will really absorb into the steak, giving it more flavor and tenderness. So that's something I like to do when it's marinating. So that's been marinating, I don't know, for about 10-15 minutes after it's defrosted. Once I'm done with the asparagus over here, since that'll finish cooking first, I'll pop the steak on so that can cook while the polenta is finishing. So everything will be done all about the same time. So having the two grill pans will be nice. And we'll end up with some extra asparagus and polenta that we can have later in the week. It's always nice to have some leftover sides because that just makes putting dinner together on a weeknight that much easier. All right. This is looking pretty good. Just getting a little bit of a char on it. It's a nice bright green. So I think these are pretty good. I'm going to take these off. All right. Whoop. Let's see how many I can get without flipping it over. Yeah, some tongs would work better actually. Let's use some tongs to take these off. The asparagus are kind of thin and slippery, so some salad tongs I think will do the trick. That'll make it a lot easier to pull these off. Perfect. All right, so we're just going to stick these back in the container that I used to toss it. So we're conserving dishes here, less for cleanup. You can see how that's a nice bright green compared to the uncooked ones. All right. Just a couple more. Alrighty. Okay. And I'm going to grab the ones that haven't been cooked and pop those on. Alright, I think that's all the ones that haven't been cooked yet. I'm going to space these out a bit. Alright, so another about 3 to 5 minutes for these. And these are coming along. Trying to wait till they're ready to flip. Maybe a few more minutes on those. So the grilled polenta would be a nice weeknight dish. Instead of having to wait for the loose polenta to boil and simmer and go on the stove, all you have to do is just slice it up and grill it. So you do have to wait just a little bit for the grill, but really not that long. like 15 minutes or so for the grilling really isn't that bad. And you don't have to stir it, which is one thing you have to sometimes watch with creamy polenta, is that you have to stir it occasionally, make sure it doesn't burn, that kind of thing. And this is just real simple. You don't have to add any water or milk or cheese or anything to this. Just slicing and grilling it. Right. Stir those a little bit. All right, I'm going to go ahead and flip these. You can see the nice char marks on the other side of that. Yum, yum, yum. Usually when I make polenta, I do like a creamy Parmesan polenta, or sometimes I add rosemary to it, or different things. Don't always do Parmesan, but it's usually some kind of creamy polenta. And since that has dairy in it, James can't have that, but this is dairy free, and so I'm excited for him to be able to try this. Oops. All right. It's about another 7 minutes on this side, and this should probably be good on that. All right, these are looking pretty good. Maybe just a minute or so longer. This will be a nice balanced meal. So we'll have our grilled polenta, and then we have our veggies from the asparagus and our meat. Alrighty, that's looking pretty good. Maybe just a bit more. I'm starting to get some nice char marks. Okie dokie, so I'm going to grab our tongs over here and go ahead and grab our asparagus, since that's looking pretty good. Yep, all nice and charred and dark bright green over here. Alrighty, delish. Asparagus is one of my favorite veggies, and it's especially yummy when it's fresh in the spring and early summer. Okay, so now I have our steak over here that I'm going to go ahead and pull out. Alright, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to grab, where is our herbs? Alright, here's our Italian herbs. So it was in the marinade, and I got some of the herbs on the top. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some herbs on the side that was bottom down when it was in the marinade too. So that we'll get some herbs on both sides. Alright, so I'm going to let that go about 5 or 6 minutes on each side and kind of check the internal temp. I usually look for about 135, and then I know it'll go up in heat about 5 to 10 degrees while it's setting too, for medium rare to medium. But that is just going to be delicious with our polenta and asparagus. I'm super excited to try the polenta. So I will show y'all a picture once everything's done and give you the verdict, our take on the first time we've done the polenta. And I can't wait. Y'all take care. Hope you enjoy the recipe. Have a great weekend. Bon appetit.